We all want to know how to communicate our value better as a business, but often when you explain what you do to people, we just leave them confused. And that confusion can be costing you money. Your customers deserve to know how you can help them, and there is a way to tell your story better as a business, and that way is with video. Hi guys, I'm George Hughes, the founder and creative director of Small Films. We're a video production and marketing agency. Before I founded the company, I worked in the TV industry for about 14 years as a producer and director, and it was there that I learned my craft of how to tell stories effectively using video. And it's some of those techniques I've learned along the way that I'm going to share with you today. So in this presentation, I'm going to share with you the 5 principles of creating really great video content. I'm going to give you some tips and tricks for how to present yourself and your business on camera, and I'm also going to help you to clarify your message using video so that you stop confusing your customers. Before I get into all that, let me share with you why I think video is so great. So you've probably all got a website, you've got a sales deck potentially, you might have print brochures, you're sending out emails to people. Let me ask you a question. How long would it take me to read all of the information that you're putting out online at the moment? 5 minutes, 10 minutes, hours, 2 hours? And if I did read all of that information, would I have a very clear message of what you do and the value you bring? Unfortunately, most of us are guilty of what I call information overload. So we think that by cramming as much information in as possible, it will somehow enable our customers to understand our message better. Whereas in fact, our customers spend so long trying to interpret our message and understand our story that they just give up, or they leave more confused than they were when they started. But what if I told you you could condense your entire company's story down into a 2-minute video that leaves a better impression, more impact, and is more memorable than all your other digital assets combined? Video really can do a phenomenal job in presenting yourself and your company in the best possible light. This may be controversial, but video can do a better job of virtually any other digital asset, which is why it gets some of the highest engagements of all digital format advertising. Okay, so let's get into it. Now, whether you're an entrepreneur, a solopreneur, a business owner, a B2B marketer, a B2C marketer, big brand, small brand, whether you're shooting on iPhone or shooting a TV advert, your objective should always be to create content that will resonate with your target audience. I can't stress that enough. That is the objective of video content at its core essence. In my view, that's the most important part to any presentation. And at the end of the day, video is a form of presentation. In fact, it's the way that you can present the best version of yourself when you're not actually there. If you want to create resonance with your audience using video content, then there are 5 key principles to adhere to. Firstly, you have to have focus. Secondly, you have to have a good hook. You have to have impact with the way that you've actually executed the content. The storytelling has to be on point. And then finally, you have to have a really great reach. So I'm going to unpack that for you for a second. So first of all, let's talk about focus. What do I mean by that? Well, one of the biggest mistakes people make when they try and create any type of content is that they don't understand their core objective of the reason why they're actually creating this content. They also don't have focus on the audience that they're trying to reach. So if you try and create any form of presentation, video or a sales deck or anything like that, if you don't really understand your audience and the objective of why you're actually presenting to them, then it's really just going to end up being quite vanilla. It's going to be quite broad. It'll appeal to everyone and no one. So first of all, you need to ask yourself the question, why am I actually creating this video? What is the core purpose behind this piece of content? Is it to help with sales? Is it to create brand awareness? Is it to explain our story or our product better? You really want to have a solid and tangible objective for why you're actually creating that content. Secondly, you need to understand your audience. If you haven't created a customer avatar already, I would highly suggest creating one so that you can then put yourself in your customer's shoes. Ask yourself the question, what will my audience want to watch? What type of content is likely to resonate with them? Because at the end of the day, you're asking them to give you their time to watch your content. So you've got to provide some level of value to them. What's in it for them? So you've got your focus, you know who your audience is. The next thing you need is a really good hook. There's a hell of a lot of content out there. We're being bombarded with commercial messages every day. So what is the big idea that's going to draw me in and give me a reason to watch your content? Remember, you might not be there to show that video to someone. You might be putting it on social media or sending it out via email or using it for advertising. You've got to give me a bloody good reason to watch it, otherwise I'm just not going to give you my time. I'm not talking about clickbait here, but I am talking about trying to create something that will hook them in. Think about somebody who's whizzing through their social media feed at 100 miles an hour, or somebody who has a million emails landing in their inbox every day. What is that thing that's going to make them sit up, pay attention and go, okay, I'll watch this. So we've got good focus, we've hooked them in. Now we need to create impact with the content that we're creating. Now I'm not saying you have to film this with a professional crew. Far from it. Grab your iPhone, go for it, start creating loads of content. We're actually really used to seeing homemade videos now, and they have a great place in the marketing mix. In fact, they can work really, really well in terms of establishing trust, authenticity, things like that. Just make sure that you are creating the content to the highest standard that you possibly can do with the resources available. Now, if you're using a professional crew, then of course it's up to them to deliver impact with your video. I mean, that is their bread and butter at the end of the day. But if you're creating the content yourself, then here's some key pointers of things you need to consider to ensure you have impact. First of all, one of the biggest mistakes people make is that they create their videos and make them too long. So the rule of thumb tends to be if you've gone beyond 2 minutes, you're probably going to lose people's attention. Unless you have a captive audience on a webinar or a video series like this, then it's unlikely people are going to give you attention for more than 2 minutes. For some reason, that is the golden number where people tend to drop off. So if you can't communicate your message in 2 minutes, you're probably going wrong. Secondly, I would try and make sure you have good quality sound. That's one of the biggest problems we often see with sort of amateur footage. So buy a cheap lapel mic from Amazon. They only cost about £25. Alternatively, literally just use Apple headphones because they've got a speaker in them. You'll just find that the quality of the sound is much higher. Next, try to keep your message as simple as possible. Don't try and pack too much information in. Typically speaking, we try to kind of keep it to 3 core messages. You can try and go up to about 5, but if you go beyond that, you're probably going to lose people and they just won't remember anything. So try and keep it simple. So keep it short, keep it simple. Next, make sure that you design your video for the sound off. If you're using your video online, the vast majority of people will be accessing it either via their smartphones or their desktop computers, and they probably haven't got headphones. So think about using subtitles if there's a lot of speaking, or building some of the key messaging in with graphics and text. And the final point to create impact is to make sure that you have a call to action. So at the end, ensure you get your viewers to do something. Don't just leave them hanging. People want to know what to do. So send them to your website, get them to download something, get them to buy something. I don't care, just get them to do something, because otherwise you're just going to lose that audience and you won't have leveraged their attention. So hopefully that's helped a little bit with the impact side of things. So just to recap on our 5 principles, we've got focus so far, we've got hook, we've just talked about impact. Now I'm going to talk about storytelling. This is probably one of the most critical parts of any piece of content. So when you're presenting yourself using video, make sure it has good storytelling. And storytelling is about telling the story of your business well, and it's also about telling a story well in the moment of that video. I can't go too deep on this because I don't have enough time, but I would recommend reading Donald Miller's Story Brand if you want to find out more about storytelling. But here are some of the basic things to consider, and this will kind of put you on the right track. So first of all stories have a beginning, middle and end. Sounds obvious, but so many people forget this. So you want some sort of introduction, you want to have the main body where you're kind of unpacking whatever it is you want to talk about, and then you've got some type of conclusion that rounds it all up. So make sure you have those 3 things. First of all, strip out anything which is either repetitive or doesn't drive your story forward. That's actually easier to do than you'd imagine. Just start with a script or however it is you want to structure your story. Might just be getting key bullet points down on a piece of paper, could be writing a script. And then look at anything that you think is non-essential and just remove that, and that will help to get your word count down. And you'll find when you write a script, that your word count initially will be very, very long, and it will be far too long for 2 minutes. So the first thing you need to do, of course, is read it out loud and test how long that video might be. And finally, one of the best tips to nailing your storytelling is to make sure that your script or your video passes the grunt test. So you want to give it to somebody who has nothing to do with your industry. They're not your target market, they're not your customer, and they're completely clueless about what you do. If they can read your script or watch your video and they can repeat back to you what they've learnt, then you're onto a winner. If they can't, then you've probably confused them with insider language, or you've overloaded them with information, so you need to go back to the drawing board. So hopefully you've been following so far. The final principle of creating really great video content is to ensure that you have reach. So the best content in the world will do nothing for you if it's not seen by the right audience. So right from the outset of any video project, you should be thinking about how you're going to get that content in front of people. There are actually so many ways that you can get that video seen by the right people. And it's always a shame when companies just put it up on their website, stick it on YouTube, and then just hope for the best. The reality is you have to do the work to make sure that that content is seen. You can send it out via email as part of a marketing campaign. Your sales team can use it to warm up prospects. You can put it on social media. You can pay to sponsor it on LinkedIn, any kind of paid advertising, of course. You can send it out in the post as physical video brochures. You show it at trade shows. There's actually lots and lots of different ways. The reality is you have to amplify that content if you want to get good reach. And when you get good reach, then the video will be much more effective. So just to recap on the 5 principles of great video content. You want to have focus, you want to have a good hook, you need impact, good storytelling, and finally you need to have reach. So if you do all those things, then your video will hit the mark. So now let's move on to talk about how you can present the best version of yourself on camera. Putting yourself or your colleagues on camera is a great way to both build your personal brand and inject some personality into your business. People buy from people at the end of the day, so when your customers see you on camera, they're going to start to know, like, and trust you, and that's going to really help them with their purchase decisions. I'm not going to lie to you, presenting to camera is not easy. It's actually quite a daunting experience. I've worked in this industry for getting on for 18 years, and I'd always been behind the camera, and the first time that I went in front of the camera, I was absolutely bricking myself, and I did not do a very good job, I'll be completely honest. But hopefully you can see now I've got kind of a little bit better at it. And the one thing I will say, you just need to practice, practice, practice. That is my biggest tip. The first time you go on camera, you're probably not going to like what you see. You'll think, oh God, my delivery was crap. Am I really that wooden? Oh, I got my bad side. Oh, what's that pimple? Why is my hair out of place? All these sorts of things. You just have to keep going at it. And the more you do it, the sort of more desensitized you become to your own foibles. And of course, you get much better and much more relaxed, and so it becomes easier. Some days I still have bad days when I appear in front of the camera and I think, oh God, I look so tired. But then I just think, do you know what? Let's just put it out anyway. Because that's my second tip, which is, in this game, prolific beats perfect. And coming from a creative professional where I sort of hang my hat on the quality of my work, actually, sometimes you just have to put the content out there and just not worry too much about it. It's much more about the content you're putting out than actually the way it looks. So if you've been on camera before, you're probably looking to refine how you do things. If you haven't, then definitely just grab your smartphone and just get out there and start doing it. A good trick to begin with, I find really helps, is if you just get out and about, go to a park, go somewhere where there's people you don't know or hopefully know people, and just start rambling away to the camera. I find that when you're walking, talking and trying to concentrate on holding the camera, for some reason it sort of tricks your brain into not getting too nervous or worried about what you're saying, and you can just kind of brain dump. That's a really good trick. And then once you've done that, you'll find that sitting down and standing in front of a camera is a lot easier. So now let's talk about your delivery to camera. So for some people this comes easily. You know, there's kind of outgoing, gregarious types with bags of personality, you know, the kind of annoying ones that people gravitate towards. For them it's easy, but they are few and far between. For the vast majority of us, presenting to camera doesn't come naturally, and actually it's really hard to make yourself come alive on camera. As Brits, we're generally pretty low-key. You know, we're told as kids to be seen and not heard and to not show off. So that sort of thing is translated to our adulthood. And if you live in Britain but you're not British, it's probably rubbed off on you. So the first thing we need to understand that when you're creating content for camera, you kind of need to switch it on. You can't just be you, you know? But at the same time, you kind of need to be you because you've got to be natural so people don't think you're faking it. So there is a balance there, I'm not going to lie, it's a little bit difficult. But normally what you need to do is just think about getting your energy levels up and trying to present the best version of yourself. Think about standing on stage, how you would have to speak to like 100 people. You can't just kind of like plod along with your head down. You know, you need to project, you've got to be animated. So it's the same rule which applies for video. Of course, you might not want to think about presenting to 100 people because that can be terrifying in itself, but just try to bring yourself alive, you know, get the energy up. So if you're being a bit monotonal and dry and kind of closed off, I find it's really good to just hit the reset button, get up, walk around, sit back down, sit up straight, take a deep breath, get the energy levels up and just have another go. Talking to camera is tough, so don't be too hard on yourself. I've worked with loads of TV presenters where it takes about 10 takes to get their lines out properly. So it's really not that easy. If you are struggling to talk to camera, a really good technique is to actually get one of your colleagues to go off camera and then ask questions to you. Some people find that having that human interaction rather than talking to a machine can really help with their delivery. So, you know, the look of what you're doing is slightly different, but it works very, very well as a piece of content. Just get them to ask questions and then you answer and it becomes more of a natural dialogue. So if you haven't put yourself on camera before, get out there, start recording content. It's a really good thing to do. It builds up immense trust for you and your business, and it's going to really help to further your brand. So just to sum up what I've shared with you today, video can be an amazing way to simplify your message in a memorable way that won't confuse your customers. You can reach your audience wherever they are without needing to be there. And when you create content that resonates with people, you can really build love for your brand. But for video to work effectively and for you to present the best version of yourself, it needs to have strong focus, a great hook, high impact, expert storytelling, and it has to have reach. I hope you found this session helpful. If you want to learn more about how to use video for your business, then connect with me on LinkedIn for more tips and tricks. Just head over to LinkedIn/George M. Hughes, and I'll hopefully see you there.
1, 2, 3, listen.